the weekend is going to be a tough one. And it's Fulham next at home. As you mentioned, Steve, Mitrovic is going to be back after his 8-match suspension. So what have you made of them? Because they're, what would be 10th, aren't they, in the league? So they've done all right.
They've been very hit and miss since that FA Cup game where all hell broke loose. It was that mad 5 minutes was definitely one of those ones where commentators always take the moral high ground and say, "Oh, these are scenes we never want to see," and yet actually everybody watching absolutely wants to see this because it's hilarious and disgraceful in equal measures, and it was great entertainment. But I mean, since then they've kind of fallen. They've not. I mean, they're not in contention for Europe now. I don't think they can sneak 7th anymore. But they've been up and down. They've kind of beaten the teams that you would expect them to beat. So they've gone away to Everton and won quite comfortably. They've beaten Leeds at home and they gave Leicester an absolute spanking yesterday. But it's one of those where they've kind of been able to. They've had enough quality in the team to beat the dreadful sides as all of the 5 down there are, but they've not really had anything when they've come up against pretty much anybody else in that period. I think Palhinha is now injured as well, so probably their player of the season's out for the rest of the season, and as a result, they're probably just going to sort of limp through. But I mean, let's be honest, if you'd have said at the start of the season to any Fulham fan you're going to finish 10th or 11th, potentially above Chelsea, they would have absolutely ripped your arm off for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Fulham have kind of overperformed a little bit, even just from the games I've seen. They've lucked out a little bit, and maybe next season you get a bit of second season syndrome, and Marco Silva's defensive sort of instability kicks in a little bit more. But they've been very good overall this season, and deserve their place, whereas we don't.
It was one of those games, Glenn, that little run back in January where you looked at that and thought, actually, this is one of those games we should be winning. I think we'd lost to Brighton, didn't we? Then we went to Fulham, lost 2-1. It was James Ward-Prowse's free kick, wasn't it? And that was when we started to go, maybe this Nathan Jones guy, maybe he's not the one for us.
We lost in the last minute, didn't we, with a flick on and header at the back post. I remember exactly what I said after that game was that I didn't think Fulham were much good, and I still kind of stand by that. I don't think they're exceptional, and that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier on when I said the teams above the bottom 5. I mean, I didn't realise Fulham were 10th, but that's exactly what I'm saying. The bottom half of the Premier League is really not great. So picking up points against the likes of Fulham, Crystal Palace, Wolves, it shouldn't have been as difficult as we made it. I didn't think Fulham played particularly well in the game that we were up there, and when we were up there rather. But they found a way to win, and we, as is our want, found a way to lose, just with pathetic defending at the end. So, but no, fair play to them. I think like Bournemouth next year, if they could well be bottom 3 next year. But they've had a good season this year, and they deserve to stay up. Absolutely. They were never going to maintain the European push. But as Steve said, they'd have snapped your arm off for the season that they've had, because I think they've been relegated the last 3 times they've been in the Premier League before this, more or less.
Them and Norwich have basically just been swapping places every year.
Yeah. So so fair play to him. Hilarious that Mitrovic comes back against us. There was. I mean, it doesn't matter now, but I mean, there was talk.
Was Lianco marking him? I was trying to think who we put up against him in, because he would have played in January, wouldn't he?
It was Lianco.
Yeah, could be an interesting one on Saturday.
This Serbian connection, isn't it? So it'll be it'll be interesting to see if they go for that again. But I would imagine, it would be Lianco or Chiletazar that will come in for Bella-Kotchap, assuming that we've seen the last of him, and I can't see Salisu coming back. So that'll be an interesting thing to look out for. But I agree with what Steve said. I think this will be quite an open game. I mean, the players, even if they don't believe it themselves, they've got to go into the game thinking, well, we have to win this one, which of course we do. 9 points and behind or whatever we are, so we have to go and win it. So why not go for it? And I think we'll see a fairly attacking performance again.
There is this strange situation where we might win, but still end up being relegated, I think, on Saturday. So we could put in the game of the season and it still wouldn't be enough. Alfie, what are you expecting from the atmosphere at the weekend? Because it's just, I mean, you've been at all the games, but it just seems a bit flat. There's that sort of acceptance almost at the end from the fans. And that was a little strange at the end where the players just went over last night and they're just like staring into the abyss. It dawned on them, hadn't it? And I don't think they really knew what to do.
Yeah, that really was weird, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know if anybody was in the away end, but I spoke to a few people, and I think the general consensus was half of the away end were clapping them, stood up, sort of applauding them. The other half were giving them a little bit, I guess. So I think it might have been a bit of a weird experience, but I think it was probably the moment where all the players realised, if they hadn't already, somehow that all right, yeah, we failed in our mission here, and yeah, it was weird. I was looking at it and such a long time just staring at their supporters. I think it would be an interesting atmosphere.
Was it that nobody wanted to go first? Nobody wanted to be the first one to sort of turn their back and walk away?
Well, usually Remy Lavie is the last one that turns his back and walks away. I think he actually left quite early. I think he's feel a bit overwhelmed by it potentially. Yeah, it'd be an interesting atmosphere. The atmosphere, look, St Mary's hasn't been the fortress, obviously, that anyone would have wanted to be this season. And when you see sort of the starts of games like Forest and the way they get up for it, you almost wish that you could do that a little bit, but it's so hard when you haven't been given any encouragement on the pitch at all. I mean, the worrying thing is that I'm reliably informed that Fulham will still be up for it because I think they've got some not real accolades to chase. I think they're 6 points off their highest ever Premier League points total, which they want for some reason. I think it's 53. They've got 48. If they get 6, they'll guarantee it. And 6 will also guarantee that they finish above Chelsea, and they've got Southampton and Crystal Palace and United left. So they'll probably see this as one where they can really sort of tick that off, and then they've got two goes at it. So yeah, it'd be interesting. It's been a shame. I'm looking forward to St Mary's next season. I hope that if in the end the Championship start winning some more games, I think it'll be a bit more lively and there'll be a few less the day trippers. I see Steve's face there, but a few less day trippers and a few less not Southampton fans, a few less Big Six fans in the home end, and you can start to feel that connection again with the club.
I did. Momentum is a word which keeps coming up, and it has done in the comments tonight. And I saw someone with a very fair point today. Was if we're going to be promoted next season, we need to win best part of like 28 games. So it's going to be quite the turnaround of the team, the character, and the mentality if we're going to bounce back. I want to do score predictions for this because prior to this game, I was thinking, it's going to be another 1-0 defeat, but I'm not sure now, given what Alfie said about how much they need the points and they want to finish above Chelsea. Mitrovic coming back, the pressure probably being off, maybe, if we approach it the same sort of way. Steve, I'm going to come to you first for your score prediction. If you're watching live, by the way, you can put them into the comments, and it's always good to see what you think as well.
Yeah, I mean,
another 3 goals.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, the pressure's off, so therefore they'll turn up and play with freedom, and everyone will have a great time, and we'll be kicking ourselves and wondering why they didn't bother doing this back in December. 3-3.
Nice.
What a game!
Nice.
What a game it's going to be, Glenn.
Similar, but not quite as mad. I'm going to go for a 3-2 win. I know Fulham are saying
win.
3-2 win. Yeah, come on. I hear what you're saying about Fulham chasing accolades and trying to finish by Chelsea, and mid-table players won't give a rat's about that. They know they can't qualify for Europe. They won't give a rat's about finishing above Chelsea. They'll give a rat's about where they're going on the beach. Fulham have next to nothing to play for, so they're just as likely to phone it in. But so I think a combination of that and Saints having the pressure off and having to win, I think we'll go for it again like we did against Forest, and just hopefully we can defend a little bit better. 3-2 win.
All right, and Alfie.
Yeah, I think the Fulham players will fancy a few extra quid in their pocket for winning, a few extra goal bonuses perhaps. I think that they will win 4-2.
4-2. I've seen a few 4-2s in the comments actually, and a couple of 4-3s as well. So we're predicting goals, which
nailed on 0-0 then.
No, yeah, he's not wrong.